everyone, this is P4L, and in today's Transformers review we'll be taking a look at a pre-production sample of BadCube Robot's Oldtimer Series 04, their Warrior Wardog. So this is their masterpiece scaled take on the funky talking Autobot favorite Warpath, the tank from the original series. So let's go ahead and get into packaging review, and you can see this is really nice, simplistic, minimalistic design for the box that you've come to be familiar with from BadCube, and that I really like. It just keeps it very simple, has the color of Wardog at the top and some gray, so it really does pull from the figure itself. And you can see it is the fourth of their Oldtimer series, the first being their Huffer, and the last two being their Brawn and Outback. And you can see it's Justice Force, which sounds kind of cool. And you can see the BadCube logo, Warrior Wardog, for agents 15 and up. And you really don't see much else, which I kind of like. It's just very minimalistic. You get the same information here on the top, just BadCube OTS-04. On the side here, you do get Justice Force and some nice artwork, which I think they did a really great job with whoever they hired. Because on the back here, you get some really nice artwork from the artists in both Robot and Alt mode. And it's really well done, like very high quality. Probably some of the best artwork that I've seen from a third-party company. And then you get a lot of descriptions in both, I believe, Chinese and English. And just to highlight, they talk about the kablam, zing, pow, which is very classic Warpath. And you get some of the specs here as well, which you'll see later on the spec cards. And yes, I did say cards that you get with Wardog. And on the bottom, some more of the basic Warrior Wardog information. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy out of the packaging and continue with the review. So here we have Wardog and all of his contents kind of displayed, and there's a lot more that I'm showing here. I just try to get it all on screen. Let's go ahead and start with the cards, and he actually has two. One in a more BadCube style card, and one in like a masterpiece style card that's very reminiscent of the old cards that we have. Not like Ultra Magnus, which was different, but their older style all the way through up until Magnus have had kind of this grid line mark. And on the back, you get some stats as well. So again, this is very much the same as you would have gotten from the traditional masterpiece cards, and these are kind of like the more modern take that BadCube's doing in their kind of minimalistic style. Again, really nice artwork here that we saw before, and here really nice promo images. So I think it's really kind of cool that they did both, just in case you want one in the old style, and one in like the new, one in the classic masterpiece style, and one in kind of this new style. And they didn't need to do that, but it's actually quite nice that they did. And these are just you know, paper, cardboard cards, or whatever they are. They're not like plastic cards. One other thing that I have hidden back here is, again, they've done a really phenomenal job with whoever's done the artwork. So they have this really nice poster that you have, this trifold poster, really gritty, stylistic design here, and I really like this. Nothing on the back, but this is actually really cool, and again, something they didn't need to include, but they did, and it's OTS-04 Wardog. So I'm really impressed with whoever they got to do this promo art for them. Next up is the manual, and this is a really nice manual when it comes to Transformer toys. Transformer toys typically have, you know, just one piece of paper or something like that. This one's really well done, and the instructions they have in here are probably the best I've seen for any figure, both in terms of first party or third party. Not only do they have the instructions, but they go through some of the detail, have a lot of, you know, content hidden here, which is really nice, showing some different side views. And the, again, instructions, it only goes from vehicle mode to robot mode, but I think there's something like 60 some odd steps, and it's really detailed. When there's any kind of complex action going on, they'll show you the big before, and then a small cutaway will show you what the after should look like, and they do it really well here. They even color the sections that you should be focusing on. So you can see here this tread is colored pink to indicate that's what you should be moving, and everything else is black and white. And this, again, is really high quality in terms of instructions. I didn't get the instructions for that pre-production sample of Brawny that I reviewed a while back from BadCube. So I don't know if this is kind of par for the course for them, but again, they really stepped up the game in terms of instructions. Nice artwork again. There is one section here that talks specifically about the shoulders, which are a little complex because the engineering is really kind of cool, but I'll go through that in detail later. Some more concept art gallery. And then on the back here, they have Terminator of Red, aka Tread. It's another concept art, Nemesis from Another World. And I have no idea what this is. I don't know if this is actually going to be a figure that they're going to do, or it's just some concept art, but it's pretty cool. Like, so the short name is T-Red, or maybe you can call it Tread, which I thought was kind of cool as well. And that's it. I know I spent a lot of time on the instruction manual, but it's just because they did a really, really good job on this, and I'm really impressed. I really would like other figures to be, you know, half as nice with their instructions as BadCube did with this one. But yeah, let's get into the actual meat of the review, and you can see that in this clamshell lifts up, and you get Wardog in his alt mode, his tank mode. And so let's go ahead and scoot this down a bit, and then we'll go straight into alt mode review. And let's do a quick 360 of the figure. And as you can see, it's a really, really nice rendition of a tank. And I'm not a tank guy. I don't know what model of tank this is supposed to be. I tried to research it, but you know, trying to look up tank and trying to figure out which one this is was really hard. So if you guys know what model this tank was supposed to be modeled after, then please let me know in the comments or on Facebook. But yeah, really nice. A lot of molded rivets. You know, you have the cupola up here and here, which is looks really accurate to the tanks that I compared it with. Again, a lot of molded details throughout. You have some small paint apps. Not a lot of paint apps on this figure in general, just a little bit of silver highlights, black up here and here. And this section here, which is gray plastic. And it looks like they based this off of the cartoon, which is completely cartoon accurate. I think I would have preferred it to be more real world accurate and had a single red color across, but it is kind of nice that you have some breakup in color for this figure itself. But yeah, on the bottom you see this is actually the kind of riot shield that they have, which is optional. You don't need it to fill in the bottom, but it just makes it look a lot cleaner, which is really nice that they included. So people would say it's parts forming, but since it's not necessary for transformation, I actually would say it's not parts forming. It's just kind of an extra accessory. And the treads are molded plastic, just the way, because it has to transform, it breaks into parts. But it's really nicely detailed. The gray plastic doesn't have a lot of swirls that you typically see from gray plastic. You do see some, but not nearly as bad as most. But yeah, this is a really excellent tank mode, alt mode. Probably the most realistic tank that I've seen as far as Transformers go. As far as articulation, you really just have the turret, and it does go 360, which is really nice. And the barrel of the cannon can go down a bit, and it can go up this high. And if you want, you can use the kind of transformation joint to go a little bit down. And I don't know if that's accurate. I don't think that's accurate to actual tank, but you do have that option, which will give you a little bit more range of motion going up and down as well. But it's supposed to sit down. But yeah, this is an excellent, excellent alt mode. I really like it. Let me just give you some comparisons. So let's go ahead and bring out the Generations Warpath to give you just an idea of how big this guy is. It's like almost twice the length. And close to, I mean, honestly, almost twice the height. And then another excellent tank mode that we recently got was the Combiner Wars Megatron. And it's not as big, but it's only about an inch shorter in terms of the actual tank body. It's only about an inch shorter, and it's about a half an inch thinner. But that's a really massive tank, and I think it scales really, really well with the Masterpiece line. And just to give you an idea of that, I'll go ahead and bring out my MP10. You can see it's nearly as long as MP10 in alt mode, and definitely wider. A good amount wider, I would say about half an inch wider. It's a really nice scale with the Masterpiece line. Alright, so let's get from alt to robot. And like I said, there's a lot going on here, a lot of actually interesting sliding joints and mechanisms that are really well engineered, so I'm really impressed with the engineering on this guy. But again, you just need to be a little bit wary of some specific steps in order to make sure you don't damage your figure. So the first thing we're going to do is come to the back and kind of basically just open up these tabs here. And that will allow you to pull this piece out like this, and that kind of frees up this section that holds the bottom plate in place. And then you have to also spread out these pegs, and then it's these two pieces of what are, I believe, the chest. You just slide that straight out, and that will give you this piece, which is the riot shield, and also the storage for the cannon, but we'll deal with these later. And as you can see, you can still have a tank mode without it. It just keeps it kind of hollow. So it's great that they included that as an optional piece, but again, I don't really consider it parts forming since it is pretty optional and you don't need to complete it. Let's go ahead and continue the transformation process. So what you'll do next is continue to split the front and the two sides into halves like this. You'll do the same thing here. You're going to lift up the turret and you're going to split this. So once you, from this gray piece and red piece, just need to, there we go. There's like a couple of tabs. This thing is rock solid in tank mode, but to do that they have a lot of tabs, so you just need to get some of these aligned. There's also some red tabs here that plug into the top from the two sides, so just get that out of the way. Oops. Sorry, I just kind of skipped this step. But once you do that, let's come down to the tread here and I'll show you what I kind of skipped by accident. You pull outwards on this because these treads tab in this way. So you pull outwards from the back side and that separates the treads. And then you're going to push down on this section, on the back section. And the reason for that is because the robot mode fist is here and there's like a tab that it basically holds onto right there. So it was like this, you just push down on that and then you get the arms coming out. So this back half here, we want to rotate these down. These are basically the arms and the shoulders, the upper body, and then all this stuff down here is the leg. The instructions say to deal with the arms first, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take one arm at a time. So the first thing we'll do is actually unpeg the tread here. It has a little peg that pegs into that tread. And then what we have to do is one part that's a little, not difficult, but it's just different. So the arm, how it extends is not by just pulling straight down as you would expect. You actually have to pull up on the arm. So there's a little square section here. It might be easiest to push in on that while pulling up on the sides, and you can see it going kind of in. And there's probably a better way to do this, but this is the way that I found works best for me. And it's just kind of, I'm trying to show it on the camera, it's a little bit more difficult than it really is. But yeah, there we go. So you pull up like that and you can see it sinks in, and then you rotate basically this down. And you can see there's an elbow joint up here. And what that does is come down and this kind of fills in the forearm, and that's it, that's your arm. Alright. Next up, what we'll do is, I'm trying to get this as clear as possible. So next up, what you'll do is kind of fold this front tread piece back on itself. And the next is what we do with the shoulders, which is a really interesting shoulder piece, but it's kind of hard to show. So let me see what way might be best. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this arm out of the way. You don't need to do that for transformation. None of this you need for transformation, but I'm trying to show you the detail of this part. just so you don't have to be concerned about it when you do it. So let's see. Let's slide that. So this piece here has to slide out of the way, which will give you access to this shoulder joint. I'm just going to rotate it this way because I think this might be the best way to show you what's going on. So I'm opening it up just so you can see these two kind of screws in here. What you need to do is pull up and basically slide that joint out. So from here, like it's so hard to show. So right there, these two black cylinders are there. You basically need to pull up on it, and you can see it's sliding up. And then you're going to want to rotate. You're going to want to rotate this piece out. Am I doing this wrong? Oh, sorry. And then you have to slide this piece back. The reason why you do that is because it allows you to rotate this upper part, this upper black part, all the way up into that cavity. Because if you had it back, basically it would be kind of blocked. But you need to rotate it back. And the reason why you need to rotate it back is because there is a small peg right there that this needs to sit down on. So you will rotate this all the way around to the top. And I'm just trying to see if you can... Let me get my spudger really quick so I can point it out. So this ratcheted shoulder piece here has a hole at the bottom. It's going to go right into this post. And then you're going to want to push it down. You just want to make sure that it's aligned correctly. Come on. Sorry, again, this is way harder on camera than it really should be. There we go. So I slid that down. And you may be able to see it. So this black part has been slid back down. Then you can slide the shoulder piece back. And the reason why you slide that shoulder piece back is because this gray piece here ends up supporting this so that it doesn't slide out by itself. So the peg on the other side secures it on that side, and this gray piece keeps that black piece from telescoping essentially. So that was really detailed, and I just wanted to show you how to do it because that is the one place that's really cool engineering wise, but also you just have to be careful about it. Alright. Same thing on the other side. Let's do that again. So go ahead and untab the tread. You can fold this back on itself, and then just need to push down on that. And then rotate it down so you get the elbow joint here, and this fills in there. Dealing with the shoulder again, first thing you want to do is slide this piece this way. Let's see if I can show you again really quickly. I'm going to rotate this arm to the side here. So this way might be easier to show just because of the way the figure is positioned. So again, this entire piece here with the ball joint connected to this black piece, what you need to do is slide it up, and then you're going to want to rotate it around. When you start rotating it though, you're going to need to slide this back piece back to give you that gap where it can go in. And again, you just want to rotate it all the way up, and when you have it aligned with this post, this red post really deep in here. It might be close to impossible to see at this angle. Once you have that aligned, you're going to push that piece down, and when that's done, you slide this back again. So this time it was a lot easier, just because I showed you once, so I wasn't as concerned. The other thing you need to do is slide these two pieces they split in half and they come out all the way. But yeah, with that done, you have the shoulders and the arms done. And I'll just rotate the arms correctly. Alright, so that's basically the arms. The next thing we'll do is go ahead and deal with the this piece here. And what that does is you kind of rotate this out. And it's on a ball joint here. You're just going to want to rotate it around like so. You basically just flip it around. Now the upper body is mostly in the turret itself. So you're going to want to split this, pull it outwards. And it's on these kind of articulating arms here on the back. And how this works is you flip the cupola, or whatever, however you pronounce it, to reveal the head. And then there's a peg here that pegs in the neck. The next thing you'd have to worry about is putting these in, and these are not, the upper body doesn't work the way you would expect. These two tabs on the front here, these long tabs, they actually fit into these two slots here. So you're going to want to rotate it around like so, looking from the back, rotate it around like this. And so you get the black arms up here, and then you rotate this in. Oh, sorry, I'm blocking everything. You rotate this in like so. You see that? And then you push up on it. You can see it from the side view, you can see it a bit better that it pegs straight up and in. Same thing on the other side. It's going to be hard to show you the actual peg hole, but basically it works the same way. You rotate this in like so, and then push up on it to get it secured in. Did I do that right? There we go. Just make sure it's okay. There we go. Sorry about that. It's just, again, trying to show you guys while doing it is kind of difficult. And you'll know you did it right because these pieces have to be positioned kind of at this angle. These black pieces. All right. So now we're getting close to finishing the upper body. You're going to want to come back to the arms. You need to push these pins all the way out so you can see this flat head pin piece. So on both sides do that. Making sure to rotate obviously into this gap. And how this works is it rotates up. Try to get these arms out of the way so you can see. So there's a few pieces that need to tap into place. So there's a peg here, and a peg hole there. There's a peg piece cut out here, and the associated piece there. And then last but not least, there's also a peg on the front here that pegs into this small slot there. So you kind of just rotate this up and in, get this peg hole in first. And then it all tabs into place. Same thing on the other side. Let's get this lower body out the way. So rotate this up and around. Again, making sure that you use this peg hole and this slot, and then this peg. So tab that in first, and then rotate that in. And you're good. That is the upper body. Oh, I'm sorry, I should do the backpack too. So the backpack rotates up and up like this. And there's this little tab here, tabs into this back section. Like that. Coming to the back, these two flaps, basically just push them in here. And they don't tab in anywhere, but they have like a little slot where they kind of rest. Right there. Alright, so the upper body's done. Again, that was really cool engineering. A little complex, maybe a little too complex, but it's still actually a really interesting engineering job. Okay, on the bottom, what you're going to do here is go kind of split the legs a little bit at the hips, and then you can rotate them down like so, and then you basically telescope out on these telescoping knees here. You just rotate them around like that. Alright. From here, there's a toe that you deal with. So this toe, basically you pull straight out and it unpegs. And you can see this joint here. You can slide that in. It's a nice tight ankle joint. So you basically collapse that. And then you can rotate it forward. Next thing we're going to do is deal with this piece. And this piece, it's going to be also hard to kind of show. But basically you collapse this in, like that, you slide this in, but you need to have it in a particular position because there's actually a little tab this way. So if you try to slide it all the way closed, it'll hit that. But if you rotate it into the correct position, you'll get a little bit more, and it'll collapse correctly all the way down. Here you can collapse this tread back as you did with the foot, and then straighten this out. So it was like this, but you're supposed to straighten that out like so. Alright. For the back of the leg, you rotate this down like so, twice. And then you have this peg that comes through this front hole and clips in. Once you have that done, you can telescope the knees so they go in like that. And there's a little tab down here that keeps those tabs together. And then last but not least, this little flap here actually folds in like that. I feel like it's supposed to go a little bit more. Oh, maybe, I'm sorry, I might have done it out, or maybe I was supposed to collapse that first. Yeah, and slide that in, and that way you collapse this all the way kind of flat, and that'll give you more knee articulation later. So same thing with the other side. Let's go ahead and deal with the toe first. So if it's not already on tab, just pull that out like so. Pull out this joint, and you'll see again these two, this slider joint. Just slide that down. Make sure it's collapsed correctly so it's the two halves meet. There we go. Then we'll deal with this sliding joint again. So it basically forms the bottom of the foot. So that's how you want it rotated when you slide it in. And again, you'll see that it's slid in correctly when it butts up straight up against this other red piece here. Yeah. Alright. Next up, we'll straighten out the foot like I just did by accident. Collapse the foot on itself like so. And then we'll deal with the knee. Yeah, the calf, sorry. Fold this in half again, making sure that that tab hooks through here and comes up. Fold this piece down and in. And then slide that joint back. And there you have the other leg. And last but not least, you're basically going to tab in the front and back. And to do that, you're going to make use of this black section here. That's going to plug in. Going to plug in. Oops, sorry. You want to get this crotch plate folded up because you're going to need that as well. But you basically want to rotate this down, and you'll see these two tabs here. Plug that in, and then kind of rotate it closed. And then from there, you'll plug in the crotch piece, and that solidifies the lower half with the upper half. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. This is kind of optional, but in here you see the treads are connected on this kind of hinge piece. What you can do to get it closer to the arms is actually rotate it like that, and then it'll sit flush with the red piece here. So here it is before, and then if you collapse it down, you'll see that it sits flush. It does make the elbow have to bend a bit because there is there is some amount of interference with the back of the shoulder here. So you're gonna have to, you won't be able to get the arm straight if you collapse it like that. But if you want to keep the arm straight, you can go ahead and straighten that back out, and then the arm sits straight just fine. But there you go. That was a, I know that was kind of long, but again, it was just to show you exactly how you're supposed to go ahead and transform this guy correctly and to not damage your figure, especially with that shoulder joint. So I apologize for that taking too long. Once you get it down, it's actually a really cool transformation that you just need to get used to before it all kind of becomes second nature. But yeah, doing a quick 360, you can see that he does have quite a bit of kibble, like with the treads in the back of the arm, the big heel here, and then he what people are calling kind of a hunchback with the back of the tank mode. But I actually don't think it looks that bad. It makes him look really bulky, which I think, you know, honestly, a tank should be pretty bulky. It does a lot of great quote-unquote mass shifting with this figure, getting it to get this small when he's such a big alt mode. So I'm just trying to get this positioned a bit better for you guys. But yeah, he looks really great. One thing that people have been complaining about is the lack of telescoping barrel. I don't know how accurate that is in terms of length for the alt mode. I'm guessing it's probably really accurate, but I really don't mind it. It doesn't stick out all that much, and I'll show a comparison later with the Warpath, Generations Warpath, to show you what it looks like. But I don't think it's that bad. I think it would have been nice to have a little bit of telescoping, honestly, but it honestly doesn't bother me though at this point. Alright, so just to give you a really quick comparison of size before we go into articulation, here he is with a Autobot prow. He's a little bit taller, and this is with the ankle completely kind of collapsed. If you want to make it a little bit taller, you can kind of extend that up like this, and you can make him a little bit taller if you'd like. The ankles are pretty stiff, so you'll probably be able to do that without much issue. But the proper transformation is supposed to have that kind of resting down, so the ankle joint is at the bottom of the foot here. Alright, here we are with the Generations Warpath. And you can see he's a good deal taller than Generations Warpath, even at the lower, quote-unquote, lower official height with the ankle position. Way bulkier, which is good. And the barrel, I think actually the Warpath Generations Generations Warpath is a little too small. I mean, I guess you can have the option to pull it out a bit if you'd like. So this does stick out, but it doesn't bother me all that much. Other things that I have comments on in terms of robot mode, it's really good. I like the transformation. The only look aesthetically that I don't really like is this a little bit of hollowness here left from the cupola. But I like how that actually hid the head. So it's a small trade-off, and it's not that big of a deal. The humpback, quote-unquote humpback, is a little big, I was hoping they would do a little bit something more with that. Maybe get it down to sit down, maybe around here. Maybe have this, I don't know, sit a little bit flatter against his back. I'm not really sure how they would do it. But yeah, I wish they had gotten a little bit less of that kind of humpback look there. Not terrible though. And other than that, I think he looks really solid. I guess you can see the back of the hips. It would be nice to have something covering that up. But again, very minor gripes. I know other people were concerned about the thinness of the shoulder joints here, the black pieces. This quality of Wardog is really, really good. It's really impressive, actually. I think it's one of the more solid, like, you know, really high quality, what you would expect from like Mastermind Creations or Fans Project or, you know, Fans Toys. It's really solid. I think they even improved beyond what they improved with Brawny, which is really great. I thought Brawny was really solid, but this guy definitely takes it to another level. And so the shoulder joints, while they look thin, they actually are really, really solid. I have no concerns about it actually being too thin as far as shoulder joints go. Let's go into articulation. He does have a swivel that can go 360 and then an up and down. He can't really go down much. It's pretty much straight on, but he can look up a lot. He's a shorter bot, so he's probably not going to be looking down too much. His shoulder is on the ball joint, so you can go up like that. You can rotate that up all the way around. And you do have some extra ratchets in here to mess around with. So great freedom of movement there. The bicep swivel, and then the elbow joint here. And then you have kind of like a secondary elbow joint for that transformation. So you can have like a lower one and a higher one. So he does have double jointed elbows, kind of. The fists do rotate. They're just like Masterpiece hands in terms of articulation. All four fingers only are one molded piece and are pinned at the where they meet the hand. Does have a slot for the gun, which will show off in a little bit. Great waist articulation. He can't do 360, but he can get all the way to here, which is more than you're going to need for posability. He has softly ratcheted, like they're not. I guess they're not soft. They're very clicky, but it doesn't take too much energy to move them around. But they hold poses. They're definitely solid enough to hold up the legs. And then soft ratchets going out this way. Like you can't even hear the ratchets, but you can definitely feel them. And again, really good range of motion. It holds it really pretty well, unless you start shaking it like I did. But it will hold out, no problem. The knee joint is 90 degrees, fantastic. The ankles, again, we have a lot of going on with the ankle here. You have like the ball joint all the way in the front here, and then you have oops, sorry. You have a couple of hinges, that pin joint up here, and then the telescoping hinge that we saw earlier. So you get a lot of range of movement there and back. Again, making use of the heel. You can have it go up if you need, or you can have it go straight. And because of the ball joint, you get a lot of lateral movement on the toe. So a lot of ankle tilt. So yeah, in terms of posability, this guy has quite a bit. The arms are only somewhat restricted by the treads, but again, you can extend those to get more freedom. The only thing I think I would, I guess, kind of complain about in terms of articulation is that it has one of those deals where the ratchets, so he's either straight up like this, or he's out too wide. And the ankle tilts let you do that, but he looks kind of weird. So I wish there was an in between those ratchets. All right, let's go ahead and get into accessories. that we saw before. You could just unpeg the gun here, and it has these two pegs here and this big rectangular piece that correspond to these sections here in the riot shield. And to basically transform the riot shield, you just fold out this handle, and then you fold this piece in like that. And to make use of them, you just open up the hand. The gun itself also has a rotating handle. I don't really know why you need that, but it's there. So you, because of the hands, the way it's kind of a rectangular handle, you have to get it in, and then you rotate the handle in while closing the fist. You need to get it past the. You get it past the thumb as well. There we go. You can see he's holding that solidly. And it works the same way for the riot shield. You just need to get it open, the fingers open, and then rotate them kind of into the handle. And then you kind of have to maneuver it all in. It's a little bit more frustrating with this just because the sides of the shield kind of get in the way from your visibility, to reduce your visibility. But it works the same way. Come on. There we go. There we go, I got it. But that rotating handle does allow you to pose it in a number of different ways. So very cool. I definitely like it. The other option for these is storage. And basically you fold the, sorry, I'm trying to get this out. Alright, we'll deal with that one in a bit. But basically what you kind of do is store the gun again back into, there we go. It's a lot easier than I was making it out to be. What you end up doing is folding this flat, using these pegs again to store the gun, and you're going to fold this in half, and you're going to come around to the back and basically where this little angle is, you're going to make use of these tabs here. And it kind of just hangs off the back. It doesn't really securely stay on. It is kind of loose like that. But it does have storage. So he kind of has a, you can kind of think of it as maybe a military backpack or something like that. A rucksack or whatever you call it. I'm not in the military, clearly. So I've never been in the military, so I don't know what they're called. But yeah, it's pretty cool that you have those options. I don't think I would ever use this because it just makes his backpack a bit larger than it already is. And I don't think it's necessary. But yeah. There we go there. Alright, so this transformation is going to go from robot to alt. And again, it's pretty simple. There's just things that you need to be mindful of. Going backwards, again with the shoulders, you have to do it in that specific sliding order, as well as when you get to the end, when you tab everything into place, because there's so many tabs, you just got to kind of finagle with it a bit. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's see, what do I want to do first? Let's go ahead and basically go in reverse. So let's unpeg the crotch plate, and then you're going to rotate this out to unpeg this, and then we'll deal with the legs first. So the first thing we'll do is slide out on the knee that we showed before. Fold this straight. Then we're going to straighten this out. Basically get it to sit straight here. There are a couple tabs that tab into place like so. Dealing with the toe, we'll go ahead and unfold the tread. And then we'll telescope this out, this red piece. We'll just kind of fold this up for now. We're going to rotate this down and basically the ankle is going to collapse on itself. But as I showed before, we collapsed that telescoping ankle joint. This time we actually have to extend it like that, and then you can collapse it on itself. It kind of reminds me of wheel jacks or exhaust toe in the way it collapses back. So if you have that masterpiece, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it needs to kind of collapse back on itself. And then I did that by accident, but you can rotate the treads so that they align correctly. And some of these tabs are going to come undone while you're transforming it. Don't worry about that, because you're going to have to do that all later anyway, when you're finishing up, cleaning everything up at the end. Again, pull out the telescoping knee, straighten that out. We're going to go ahead and flip this up. Pull this ankle, like instep red piece out. We can rotate that around, kind of form the front again. We're going to extend this all the way. Alright, from here, once again we need to rotate the, well, not rotate, but extend the ankle. You can see this one's a little bit tight, but that's a good thing. Open that up, and then collapse it on itself, like so. Sorry, let me rotate this down a bit. So yeah, you basically have the lower half or front half of the tank done. The only thing now you have to do is basically rotate the hips like that, so that they're pointing backwards, and then you're going to want to rotate on that knee joint to get the front of the tank in the right position. So you kind of have the front half done and both halves like this, and then you're going to basically collapse it closed later after we get the upper body done. So going back to the upper body now, go ahead and untab this, get these flaps out as well. Since we're already dealing with this, let's go ahead and rotate it around. Again, it's on this ball joint, so just pull it out and rotate like so. Then we'll deal with the, let's deal with the shoulders first. Again, I want to show you very specifically how to, well actually no, let's clear out this head first. So rotate the head up, and we're going to untab the shoulder pieces. So again, untabbing this and then unpegging this peg here, that circular peg, and rotating that back. Same thing on the other side. It was like this. We're going to unpeg and then untab down here. Rotate this all the way back. We're going to unpeg those two long pegs that went to the front, so you can kind of just stick your finger in here and pull that down. And then rotate this up and around. And then we're basically going to rotate these two halves around and then slide them closed. So there's a couple things that you have to look out for. This side is pretty easy. You just kind of close it up. There's tabs on the front again. This side, you do have a couple of sliding pieces, like here. So you're gonna make sure this is straight, and then you have to align it correctly and then slide it closed. And there's a tab on the back as well. Alright, so we'll deal with the rest of that later. The shoulders. Let's go ahead and deal with that again. First, let's push these out. So remember, this pin was pushed all the way like this. Now you want to push it back, sink it back in. Shoulder again, just to show you how everything works. I'm going to fold it out like this so you can see in that joint. Let's get this arm out of the way. There. So again, we're focusing on this black section and this sliding section here. And remember, this sliding section, this gray piece, secured that shoulder piece in place. So that's why you need to slide this first to basically release the back of that. Then we're going to extend this towards the camera, the black piece, and that basically unpegs this red piece back here, this little red post back here from the back of that ratchet gear. And then you're going to start rotating this down like so. And once you get rotated down like so, once you have that done, then now you can slide this back. And you can actually see deep in here, there's another post. Again, we're going to rotate this around so that it sinks into that post. So you just rotate and ratchet, rotate and ratchet, rotate and ratchet, like that. And then you close it up, pushing it back towards the red piece. All right, and then we're going to rotate this. Slide this like that, but you need to actually have this in place first. So let's finish off the arm. Let's go ahead and extend that small joint that we talked about before. Basically accordions on itself. Get this straightened up. For the arms, where am I? Okay, for the arms, we're gonna go reverse on what we did before. So what you need to do is rotate on the high elbow joint and on the low elbow joint in opposite directions. So you're going to bend this kind of going, the upper joint going forward, and you're going to have this one going back, the lower joint going back. So it kind of zigzags on itself like that. Let's just slide this out the way for right now. The reason is because I want to go ahead and show you that once you have it zigzagged, you can still see the arm there. It's kind of difficult to push this down. It's easier if you basically come from the back, put your finger there, and then kind of sandwich it closed. I find that the easiest way. And then you can go ahead and rotate this tread back into place and tab that in. And this part here needs to, this gray piece needs to basically be rotated into that slot. And that's how you know you have this kind of side piece, side chest piece, oriented with the sliding mechanism here correctly. So again, on the other side, let's show that. How about I first start with that then, just to show you what I meant. So again, slide this back, rotate this down, rotate this all the way around like so. So you can see this is how it's supposed to look. But until we rotate the shoulders back, you're not going to be able to get this sliding joint through this cavity here. So let's go ahead and deal with the shoulders again to show you how that works. We'll get these arms out of the way. Again, because this gray piece is supporting that, you need to, supporting this black piece, you want to slide that out of the way first. And then that reveals the screw. Then you can lift up, push towards the camera, rotate it all the way around and down like that. Slide that back. That will give you the room to rotate all the way down. And then you can slide that back piece down onto that peg, that red peg down there. And that's it. And then once you have that done, now that you come back here, you can see that you can slide this no problem. and that fits into that piece. That L piece kind of fits around there. If you don't do that correctly, you don't rotate the shoulder first, you'll never be able to slide that correctly into the place with the side of the chest. Next, we'll deal with this by extending it again, folding this straight, and then doing that zigzag collapsing mechanism, like so. And once you have that, again, I find it easier to reach in there with my finger and then push down to make it collapse a lot easier. See, it's not all the way done yet. There we go. And you'll see, you'll know when it's done because it's flush. Once that's done, go ahead and peg in the back of the tread again. Now we're basically done now. We just have to get all the pieces in place. Slide these two halves on this pin. And I know people are probably like, this looks really fragile. It's actually not. This is pretty sturdy. The plastic, again, is much higher quality than we saw before. And that's I mean, not to say that Brawny was bad or Backlund were bad, but this is definitely a step above. Basically, get these in the center. One thing I would have liked is some way to mark the center so that it was easy to know where the center was. Right now, you just kind of have to guess. There you go. And you rotate this back. And as I said before, the fist has that little hole and that tab here. And what you need to do is slide that up like that. And then the tread itself, again coming from the backside, coming from the outside, has these two tabs that have these corresponding slots. There you go. And you just kind of have to straighten everything out. Sorry about that, everyone. My camera ran out of memory, or I ran out of memory on my memory card. So basically, we're almost done. We just have all the places kind of in the right place. We just have to kind of clean it up. So first, as I mentioned before, we just need to get that fist into that slot up here. So it's kind of holding it, pegging into that. Then we're going to go ahead and tab this in like so. And then all these pieces, segments, basically just tab together like that. And you just need to get them kind of all straightened out like this. So once they're clean like this, you can start working on the other side. Again, tab this up like that. Make sure the front's tabbed in here and here. Oops, forgot to tab this to lock it into place. That's kind of clean. The front, these two pieces just need to tab in to this slot in the front of the, I think they call it the cupola. Or cupula? I have no idea. I don't know English. And then, like, you just need to start tabbing these pieces in, the two halves together. One of the big things is, I showed you before, there are certain tabs that go over top and onto those slots like that. So it might be easiest to get those in place and then start tabbing. So there's tabs back here. We're going to leave these undone just because you need that undone later. And then we'll tab this front part in, tab these sides in. The reason I left that open was we're going to put in the shelf, not shelf, the bottom, and you need that split to do that. So to put in the bottom, we just need to go ahead and slide these two chest pieces through these slots, and then these two pegs have corresponding peg holes there. With that done, oops, this was supposed to be out. I messed up there. I'm gonna have to undo this. Just reach in, yeah, sorry. So yeah, once that is done, you slide this in. That pegs in kind of there, rests there, and then these two side pieces peg in to hold that all securely into place, and then you're done there. The front is all pegged in. Scroll this down a bit. And there we go. We're done with transformation. Again, a little bit longer than I wanted to take, but there are just a couple of pieces that I wanted to show in great detail since BadCube went out of the way to show in great detail that shoulder joint as well. So, very quickly, final thoughts. I'm really impressed with the Wardog that BadCube's put out. The overall improvement in engineering, plastic quality, details, even the stuff that's included, like the accessories, not accessories, but the extras like the cards and instructions, like the best instructions I've seen from any figure. I mean, it's just remarkably well done. I'm not going to go through this again. I talked about it in the beginning, but as well as the extra artwork that you get. I mean, overall, I think they've done, they've taken a step up, another notch, to make their figures, you know, really some of the best in terms of overall quality that I've seen. Definitely the most innovative engineering that I've seen, I think. Maybe a little too complex. At least for me, I think it's a little too complex. I think they could have shaved it down a bit, maybe made it a little bit less complex, and maybe that would have helped with the price. So the price is one thing that I wanted to touch on just because a lot of people have been talking about it. This guy is a little bit on the pricey end, especially for what people are kind of comparing to the MP car size in terms of, you know, robot mode. But you gotta also look at the alt mode. The alt mode's way bigger than an MP car, close to MP10 in size. And I think the overall complexity and engineering and the number of parts that are in this make it obviously much more complex, and as such makes it more expensive. And you do get a lot of, you know, bonus things. You don't get a ton of accessories, but you do get this nice shield and the gun, which are really pretty nice quality. So I think what it's going to come down to is not a question of quality. I think it's going to come down to a question of how much you like Warpath and how much you want one in a mastery scale for your collection. Because if you want one, I think this is a really, really great figure to add to your collection. I don't doubt that this will be a really nice addition there. For those of you who are kind of like maybe on the fence about really needing a Warpath, it might be a little too pricey. I would have loved it to be a little bit cheaper, but I definitely see where all that value is in this figure, so I can't knock them on that. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section below, or you can hit me up on Facebook on my Facebook page, P4L Reviews. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and share, as well as keep up to date with all my reviews and news using the subscribe button up here. If you guys want to add this guy to your collection, you can have a chance by clicking the Toy Dojo link, the sponsor of this video, in the description below. And I think this guy's already shipping. Again, this is a pre-production sample, but it's already shipping now, and this is basically retail quality. I don't have any I guess recommendations for improvement. Maybe a little bit of extra paint apps would have been nice, but I don't think that's necessary given all the molded detail. So this guy's already shipping out to retailers, so you should be seeing him in the next week or two. But if you want to get him, go ahead and click that Toy Dojo link in the description. Alright? But yeah, I think that's all for today, everyone. Have a good one.